Yo, what's going on, Cowboys fans? It's your boy Foots, the King. Hey, listen, we had to run this back. I got my boy Joe with me. Joe, what's going on?
What's up, Foots?
I got Joe Rodriguez, CowboysBlog.net. He actually just released a fresh, hot mocker off the stove for you guys. Listen, me and Joe have linked back up. The baby has got some rhythm, so I've told Joe that I have some time. And we've kind of linked back up and said, you know what? We're not going to use this COVID-19 pandemic this time, the whole nine. I wouldn't say be negative, but to be like not active. You get what I'm saying? And
for sure.
We said that we wanted to, you know what, if nothing else, be as prepared as possible for this draft. Because guess what, guys? A draft is going to happen. I was reading NFL.com today, Joe, and they're talking about, the virtual draft, the whole nine, whatever the case. A draft is going to happen, Joe. I'm very excited. How are you feeling today, Joe?
Oh man, I'm ready. We're weeks away. It's no longer months away. We're weeks, days away. I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, and Joe, a lot has been made of what the Cowboys might do. And so today, I just wanted to play GM with you, Joe. We talked pre-show. We wanted to put together a nice mock draft for people. And I think that people will be pleasantly surprised that there are some different names. You're starting to see C.J. Henderson everywhere. You're starting to see the same kind of names pop up. So what me and Joe wanted to do is, especially on the back half of this draft, we wanted to introduce you guys to some new names, even kind of in the middle of this draft as well. As you introduce you guys to some new names, and we're going to tie it to how it all makes sense for the Cowboys roster, still being in a win-now mode. We're going to go pick for pick, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. This exercise is really, again, just an exercise, a way to get you guys all the way locked in with these prospects. Joe's been doing great work. He's been watching film. I've been doing great work. I've been watching film. So, Joe, you ready to get to it?
Boom. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. So, dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun. That's my draft sound, Joe.
That's good. That's good.
It wasn't bad. All right, pick 17, Joe. I want Kayvon Chaisson, LSU DN. Now, that's probably one of the names that you guys know being mocked a lot to the Cowboys. But I was actually one of the first people to mock him to Dallas. And I think even with Dallas, going ahead and picking up an Alden Smith, taking a flyer on him, which I think it could work out. You think about a Kayvon Chaisson, the bend, the athleticism, looking over my notes. I just wrote, you go watch that Clemson game, you go watch that Oklahoma game, the way he's able to capture a corner, the way he's able to chase, and he can play in space. I think this pick would make a lot of sense. Joe, what about you?
Of Kayvon Chaisson. He came on strong, captain his final year there. They give him the number 18, which is very significant for LSU, the defense. So, look what they did. The people forget about the production and how fierce that defense was. And as a whole group, they were good. But you break it down individually, and you can see the traits. All right, and he gives you versatility. He can be your end. You can use him in some 3-4 packages. I love it, man. I hope he's there.
Yeah, I don't think people really understand how good his play strength is as well, Joe. He is cut up like a bag of dope. He's not. So what's happening too, Joe, is he's getting. I don't want him to get compared to some of these other LSU DBs who come out and didn't really pan out. Not DBs, excuse me, DNs that didn't really pan out. I can't. Some of the names escape me. But he's not that. You gotta look at this draft and say, who this player is, and I think that he fits a need that this Dallas Cowboys defense and nothing else, you will have guys screaming off the edge, and I think that's kind of how Dallas wants to play football. So I like that pick a lot. Joe, pick 2, second round. Excuse me, pick 51, second round. Who you got?
With the wide receiver, I've talked about just the history of Mike McCarthy grabbing receivers more in the second and third rounds more than the first round. So in the second round, I'm going Van Jefferson out of Florida.
Boom, baby. Why, Joe? Tell me why.
You look at the level of competition he's faced. He's hard to cover. And you can put him in the slot and let him go to work, and he can play on the outside. He's not going to beat you with the speed, but he knows how to run the routes. And that, if you can run routes, that's a big deal. You can cancel out, the high end speed, with good route running. So I love that about him. And he looked good at the Senior Bowl. We were talking about this offline. You see what he did in the Senior Bowl. So you have to look at these players. Do they play good when the lights come on? He did good in the Senior Bowl. He's not going to be like these undrafted receivers that we always get a lot of hope for. When the lights come on, they disappear. All right, so with this guy, you don't have to worry about, man, maybe we can hit on an undrafted guy to stick in the slot or, put him in the mix. You don't have to worry about this guy's ready to go. And I love it, man. I love getting Van Jefferson right here in the second round.
I think, Joe, that is an underrated, sneaky, excellent pick. What he does with his feet is borderline incredible. The way, Derek Stingley is probably my favorite DB in college right now, cornerback LSU, and he flat out toyed with him. I think your point about the level of competition that he's played and played well against is one that people have to, they have to take that into accountability. I love John Vea Johnson. I love the camp stories. And because we're Cowboys fans, we're pulling for these guys. But the fact remains, when the light comes on, like you said, Joe, some of these guys they don't pan. And I think Van Jefferson will, it won't be a stage too big for him. So that's a great pick, Joe. Seriously. I would be ecstatic if you told me that you got Kayvon Chaisson and Van Jefferson in your first 2 picks. I'll be very excited. Pick 3, Joe. Pick 82. Excuse me, I see keep saying that. Third round, pick 82. I went Cam Dantzler. We talked offline again, and you made a great point about DBs and corners. So I went Cam Dantzler, DB from Mississippi State, excuse me. And you made a great point offline that I want people to understand. The cornerback class starts getting real thin after the third round. So we didn't go safety. We got our edge guy. I went Cam Dantzler, a guy who, I watched this film against LSU. He can be grabby, but he is a hell of a competitor. And I'm going to take a flyer on that type of a player because with his size 6'2", speed good, hands good and press, and just a fighter throughout routes. Will he get some grabby calls? Yes, but he's not going to get bullied and you're not going to run away from him. He had a really good battle with Jamar Chase, LSU, just stud. I really like this pick, Mississippi State Mississippi State corner. Joe, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, he's one of these guys that's not being talked about too much, and he's really good. Plays good with anticipation. I think he's a cerebral corner. So I think Al Harris has something to really mold. And you're talking about Coach Harris. I think he'll do well looking at him. I think he sees a lot of himself in this Cam Dantzler. Not highly touted, but can get it done. He'll bring the lunchbox to work and he'll get it done. He can play the receivers really well.
Yeah.
Has the side length for those 50-50 balls. I like him a lot, man.
Yeah, and I was one where I looked at my board and I said, like you said, the cornerback position, it gets, Lamar Jackson, a couple other guys, but realistically, do they have a chance of getting on the field? My whole thing with this draft is you got to get 3 contributors out of this draft. Just 3. along with what you did in free agency. So I think that pick makes a lot of sense. Here we go, Joe. Moving right along. 4th round, pick 123. Who you got?
Round 123, Jason Strowbridge, defensive end / defensive tackle out of North Carolina. All right. Just a stud player, man. This is a guy that comes to work, very aggressive, strong. I think I'm okay. We talked about this offline too, but we're going to talk about it here. I'm looking to upgrade somebody to replace Tyron Crawford. This player here, to me, is him, but a better prospect for me.
You know, Joe, that's it. Will McClay says it all the time, and like we said, we want to GM this thing. I love you. I gotta replace you. That's it, Joe. That's it. I love you, Tyrone. I gotta replace you. He's held his team captive, and again, you know, with Strowbridge, I liked his power, Joe. It makes a lot of sense. It really, really does. Here we go. Moving right along, Joe. Here's a name that I don't think that people are familiar with, but you should. Go watch game film. In the 5th round, pick 164, I went Evan Weaver, inside linebacker out of Cal. He reminds me a lot of a poor man's Leighton Vander Esch. We don't know what the ham sandwich is going on with Leighton. Okay?
Yeah.
You haven't heard anything. And
it's quiet.
It's been quiet, and I knock on wood, Joe. At my desk, I'm literally knocking on wood.
Me too.
early neck injuries are never good. So I'm kind of protecting myself here. Also, we know Sean Lee likes to go out. He likes to. I got that from Voch Lombardi. Sean Lee, he likes to get hurt. So just a depth pick here, and he could play. He was, I want to say first team All Pac West or whatever that Pac-12, excuse me. So really good player, Evan Weaver. Not the fleetest of foot, but he will play C to C and he will crank you. So we're going Evan Weaver, inside linebacker, Cal.
Good, it's good. I haven't watched the tape on him yet, so I'm going to go with what Foots is saying here on the player. So I trust him, immensely. You guys know that, and you know that as well, Foots. So I'm going to take a look at this guy, and these are names that we guys, that we're giving you all that you should become familiar, because this is what the Cowboys do. A lot of the mock drafts that we're seeing is the same names, and then when it comes to the draft, we don't want fans getting caught off guard. Like, what? Who's this guy? Okay, well, I never heard of him. Or he wasn't on my radar.
Yeah, totally. I never forget. Me and Joe were at the draft, and they drafted Dorrance Armstrong. We're like, who? We had so many. Yeah, we had so many pet cats on our board, and it was like, no, we're drafting Dorrance. So, yeah, Joe, give him a watch. I think you'll like it. Joe, here we go with our second fifth, which is huge. Pick 179. What you got?
179. I'm going safety J.R. Reed. Cowboys have interest in this player here. They met with him at the combine. Has pretty good speed, and can play the free. He's got the bloodlines, and when you have bloodlines, there's something to be said about that. So I like that. What's funny is his comp. Whenever they were doing the coverage of this guy, one of the comps on him was Xavier Woods. And so I've talked about this for a while, in the coverage here on my channel that, and you and I say this too, Foots, you're drafting for now, but you're also drafting for the future. And with next free agency cycle, you're looking at Jordan Lewis, Xavier Woods, Cheeto Awuzie. Can they keep all three? Highly unlikely. All right. So you got to protect yourself. And, do they bring Woods back? Does he earn a contract? Does he play out of his mind and we can't keep him because it becomes too expensive? You got to protect yourself. So I like J.R. Reed. Give you some depth. Give you some depth there for Coach Fossil on special teams as well.
And that's the level. That's what we wanted to do with this exercise, guys. And that's why I appreciate Joe attacking the draft from all angles. Because believe it or not, as a GM, that's what Will McClay is doing. And that's very astute on your point, Joe, because you got to understand. Like you're saying about X Woods, this Donovan Wilson comes in or somebody comes in or whoever, he could be gone. All right? So I love you. I got to replace you. So that's huge, Joe. And then I'm gonna wrap it up. In the 7th, I went Jarrett Pickney, tight end, Vanderbilt. Just throwing bodies at the position and hoping that a gym can be formed. Joe, I think that he's a good player. Kind of slid because of his combine, but you turn the film on, and you just kind of hope that, every draft you look up in the 7th round, you're like, oh, wow, he's still there? It kind of happened with, what's our running back from Ohio State last year? Oh, man. Mike, was it Mike Bell, Joe?
Mike Weber.
Mike Weber. Yeah, Weber. Yeah, Mike Weber, Ohio State, early on had a higher grades on him. You look up, and he was there late in the draft. So you're hoping that a guy like Pickney could slip through the cracks, especially people maybe not valuing this tight end class as much. Even thinking about a guy like early on, T.J. Hawkinson, he was a flop this year where everybody – like, there's no tight ends that are going to go in the first round. You could book that. So, hopefully a guy like Pickney is still around, Joe. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, this is another player here Cowboys met with at the Combine. So there's definitely some interest here. He's not the fastest. I think he's a little bit slow, and I think that's why I could definitely see him, here in the later rounds for sure. But he can catch the ball, decent blocker.
Good hands.
But good hands. So you're gonna get. I think he'll fall where his talent and that kind of stuff. Where you're not gonna get the perfect player, so you get him here, and then you get some good value. Put him in the mix, and see what he can do.
Yeah, totally, Joe. So, guys, to wrap up, we went Kayvon Chason, Van Jefferson, Cam Dantzler, Jason Strowbridge, Evan Weaver, J.R. Reed, and Jarrett Pickney. Joe, I'm really proud of our work. Plug yourself. Thank you for coming on as well, man.
Appreciate you, Foots. Yeah, you guys can find me on YouTube, Cowboys Blog. Just look me up, Cowboys Blog. And on Twitter, Instagram, Cowboys Blog Net. And I appreciate you, Foots.
Yeah, man. And Joe, again, your work, your mock draft, I'm going to load this. I'm going to go watch here. Guys, this exercise is just something that, like, me and Joe jumped on earlier today, then we jumped on right before, trying to give you guys realistic things. I think Joe hit it out the park. Don't get married to a guy. If it's one thing, me and Joe going on year 4 covering this draft and kind of being buddies. It's crazy, Joe.
Absolutely, man. It's crazy how fast time goes by, man.
But the one thing, we've been doing this for a long time, do not, okay, I'm going to end on this. Do not get married to a player, because if you do, you're going to get your feelings hurt. I'm telling you. That's just the way this team drafts. They will throw a curveball. Thank you guys for being with us tonight. It's your boy Foots. Thank you guys for all the prayers. Thank you for all the well wishes. We'll be back next Monday, hopefully, with another mock for you guys as we get closer and more info. Peace.
Peace.